My guest today is President of the Party of National Unity and Progress, NUP, and this is no other than Highvie Hamududu. It's a pleasure to see you. Good to actually see you after a long time. Welcome to the burning issue.
Thank you, Zaki.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It is always a pleasure to be here.
And ever looking young. No, not gray hair whatsoever. Look at the problems.
No, but thank you for that. We thank God for that.
Yeah.
Life, you take it easy.
Yeah.
You are not the only one.
Yeah.
Do your little part.
Yeah.
And the others can do the rest. But if you want to lift the whole weight,
yeah,
you're gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my approach is that do your little part and do it well. And,
interesting.
And others will do the rest.
Yeah.
So and thank God for your kind compliment.
Welcome.
Thank you, and good morning, listeners.
Yeah.
I missed you. I hope we interact again.
Right.
And I think I'll be around now.
Yeah.
Because now this is the season.
It is. Yes. It's about time.
And by the way, are you recording there?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We are live on our Facebook page.
Yes, I need to behave. Is this thing okay?
Yes, we are good.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are not in the prison.
Not at all.
Yes,
not at all.
Make me free.
Yeah. So feel free, and of course, we will touch on a number of burning issues.
Yes.
But let's start with the fact that you are now, for some time now, you've been part of the UPND Alliance. So PNUP has joined the UPND Alliance. This is almost a year now, is it? Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, almost a year.
We clocked 1 year.
1 year
in October.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how have you found your stay there? When it's interesting that you went in when everybody else is walking out.
Yeah. So life is about choices.
Right.
Yeah. Life is about choices, and the very existence is about choices. The future is about choices. And first of all, let me, before I come to this issue, just congratulate your radio for the good work that you do. 5FM, you have been doing very well. I follow you.
Thank you.
Keep it up. And I hope you are strong and you keep going strong. We need very strong radio stations that give platforms to people to express themselves.
Right.
And in as far as I'm concerned, you are doing a very good job. You're one of the radio stations we look up to. So, and thank you always for this privilege for me to come here.
We appreciate the compliment.
Okay, now, in the Alliance, so we made a decision last year, and when we came to the Alliance last year, I said a few things which I want to repeat. And nothing has changed, and we still stand by that. And over time, will be proved right, because it was not an emotional decision. It was a decision out of realism. We are realists. In life, you must be realistic. So as you make choices, you must be realistic.
Yeah.
Look at the options and choose the best available.
And what prompted you to make that decision, though?
We had many options. One option was to go on our own for 2026. The other option was to work with our colleagues in the opposition. The other one is to work with the Alliance on the ruling party. And when you looked at the two, and the right made more sense for us.
Yeah. Without
judging the right or the left. For us. And I'll explain why.
Please do.
Yeah. One of it is that PNUP's strength is around the economy. Each party has its own strength.
Right.
Some parties, like you say in Europe, some parties are good at climate change, green issues.
Yeah.
Some are good at human rights and so on and so forth. Ours really is the economy, while respecting other areas of human endeavor.
Right.
Because and also maybe the bias is because the president of this party is in that field, and that is my strength. And therefore, that strength has been imputed into the whole party, and that's why even people that we're privileged to have around, buy into that story. What were the main reasons that time to endorse the UPND and the UPND president for 2026 for continuity? Is that by and large they have done fairly well to rescue the economy, to reset the economy towards recovery. It's a long process. But I can tell you fundamentally, they have touched into the fundamental areas that actually bring hope for the future. They are laying a very strong foundation for the eventual recovery. And by the way, we have been in this road before. In 1991, the economy had really gone down. It was laden with a huge 7 billion, debt, US dollars. Zambia had in 1991, when there was a change of government, and the economy is small. Our budget was so small. So basically, Zambia was bankrupt, meaning unable to service the debts. Bankrupt is when you are unable to service debts. Okay? And the country has reforms, the liberalization reforms. And as usual, they were never perfect. In life, there is nothing really perfect. But they are good reforms with commendation. And at that time, people were complaining, oh, the cost of living, oh, this is not right. But it was a necessary passage to recovery. It took almost 15 years for the results to show. If you remember, the reforms of the MMD in the early 90s only began to show real fruits in the time of Mwanawasa and Rupia Banda. And those benefits went into PF. The first few years of PF, those were benefits of what MMD had done. Okay? Those reforms. And it reached to a point where there was debt forgiveness, and that forgiveness was based on the merit of the reforms. It was not just people taking paracas to Rome and say, to G20, no forgive Zambia. No. Those were riding on the reforms made. Not all countries were forgiven. But Zambia's reform agenda had enough credibility to ask for forgiveness. And therefore, the international community came to the party, and Zambia's debt was written off as we entered into Mwanawasa presidency. That's where you saw the economy from 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 into PF. Those benefits were a spillover of the investment, the right reforms that were done. They're fairly good reforms. Of course, there are mistakes. In any process, there are mistakes here and there. But overall, those reforms were worth it. They brought Zambia to a very significant level of recovery. I can tell you, when those reforms began to bear fruit, past 2000, especially 2005, 2006, and I remember very well because I came into parliament that time in 2006. That was actually the pinnacle of the pickup of the reforms. You could see the kwacha strengthened. It was one of the best performing currencies in Africa. Okay, it was. We had one of the highest growth in Africa. In sub-Saharan Africa, we were top 5 performers in Africa. We were at the level of at that time. It was Zambia, Botswana, Ghana. Then before they went into problems, Rwanda. That was our league. Mauritius, in terms of strong macroeconomic fundamentals, growth, international gross reserves, the exchange rate, the inflation rate, those indicators that show the health of the overall economy. Those things you saw post 2005 were as a result of the reforms that were undertaken in the 90s. From one of the key reformers of our time, the late Ronald Penza. Of course, the first minister was Kasonde, and then came Ronald Penza, and then we have late Nawakwi, and then we had Katele Kalumba, and then came Magande. Okay?
Yeah.
There should have been somebody there before Magande. Who was there? Yeah. So then Bakasonde came back again.
Remember, in the PF, yeah.
When Mwanawasa won elections in 2001, and he was sworn in 2002, remember? Because the elections were held at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And he was sworn in January 2002. The first Minister of Finance under Mwanawasa was the late Emmanuel Kasonde. Just like he was the first Minister of Finance under Chiruba, 1991. And then afterwards came Ngandu Magande. After Ngandu Magande came Musokotwane under
Yeah.
RB.
Right.
And then, and we proceed. Then came the late Honorable Chikwanda and under PF. But let me just go to the substantive issue. So, what was done in the 1990s, those reforms? Can I tell some of the key reforms?
Yes, please.
Like in revenue generation, the government budget is funded through taxes. Okay. So you put up the tax laws to raise your money, the income tax, the pay as you earn, and the corporation tax, and all customs duty, and so on and so forth. But then you need to have an institution that collects revenue efficiently. Zambia had problems when revenue collection was under the government department called the income tax department under the Minister of Finance, because in the normal government structure, there are bureaucracies and inefficiencies. And the key reform was undertaken in 1994 by the creation of the Zambia Revenue Authority as a semi-autonomous department, or body to collect taxes on behalf of government. If you did your numbers from that time, Zambia's capacity to finance our budget from our domestic resources were highly enhanced to a point where, in the worst case scenario, Zambia can literally finance budget from the domestically raised revenue through the efficiency of the tax collection body. That was born out of that reform. The 1994 reform that created Zambia Revenue Authority was a huge milestone. Okay, and then there were other consequent reforms, to bring in the private sector to drive industry, because the parastatal had failed because of political patronage and so on and so forth. We ran the mines, and we brought them down.
Yes.
And now the private sector that came in, the mining sector has been revived. Okay, which itself is a backbone of our economy, because it gives us more than 75% of our foreign exchange, and therefore it brings that lifeblood of the stability in our kwacha. Every time we have low production and exports in minerals, the kwacha suffers, because historically the kwacha was literally born out of copper mining, and its stability is at the moment, as we are diversifying into energy, into agriculture, and the other sectors, tourism, mining still plays a very, very key role. So I must just give you one example. Look at the transport sector. We had the UBZ.
Yes.
That time, the National Bus Company, United Bus Company of Zambia, UBZ, and the people used to sleep in the bus stations. You want to go to Livingstone, you come here to the intercity bus terminus, and the bus is full, and you sleep there, waiting for the following day. There was liberalization in the transport sector, and Zambia actually is a model in the sub-region of the success of how to liberalize a sector, and then it performs. So, and again, the stewardship of President Chiluba and the Minister of Finance, Ronald Penza, they liberalized the sector, brought in the private sector. Today we have efficiency in the public bus services, whether within towns or between intertowns. They have even gone regional. That liberalization has actually hit even the region. Today, if you want to go to Lilongwe, you are doing business with Malawi, or you are buying whatever you are buying there, whether it's beans and whatever you are trading between Zambia and Malawi. You can go to the interbus terminus here and buy a ticket and go to Lilongwe. You can go to this bus station here, buy a ticket and go to Havron, go to Johannesburg. Now they're even going to East Africa. I mean, of course, Dar es Salaam is easy. Now I hear they even go to Kampala by bus. So you can go to Nairobi by bus. So the transport sector was liberalized through deliberate decisions of the 1990s. And now we have these efficient bus services in the country. I'm just giving you some little examples. So too many to mention. So
but do you think that this
let me come to where we are now.
Right.
Again, the economy had gone down by 2021. Read down. We are back to indebtedness. Okay? Okay. The debt now of about $11 billion. Okay? At that time, plus minus. And to a point where Zambia had defaulted. Okay? And that sent a very, very bad message to the international economic ecosystem. Because there are no secrets. Now there's internet. Yeah? Any bad news affects you in many ways.
Yeah.
It affects the flow of investments. It affects many things. Because these guys, they look at the economic dashboard. So you must have a clean economic dashboard for it to attract investment. Yeah. And we need investment.
Because Bloomberg would pick it up and the whole world is...
Exactly. Not even these rating agencies, but many, analysts and even investors. Investors have their own analysts. If you want to come to Zambia, they tell you, can you give me the macros for Zambia? They will check, no, we can't go here. Just because of one bad indicator. Oh, Zambia defaulted, no, we can't go there. Maybe the currency will collapse. Now, when the the UPND came into power, they began the reforms that are giving hope to this country. We went fully into the IMF program, and Zambia is a member of IMF through all governments, whether under UNIP, under MMD, under PF. We have been under IMF. It's a question of engagement. So under the UPND, the engagement with the IMF or the enhanced credibility was attained, and therefore we went in that program with some little support for stability. And because of that signal, the private sector around the world responded. You can see already investments coming in the mines. You can see investments coming in the energy sector. You can see investments coming in the public-private partnerships, bringing extra financing for infrastructure development in the country where the government treasury cannot manage because it's limited. The private sector comes in. So big things are coming on board. They might not show so much now because they take time. The gestation period takes a little time. But the goodness now is that some of the reforms now will take a quicker turnaround than the reforms of the MMD that took us over 10 years to show results. I can tell you now, for example, in the energy sector, the diversification in the energy sector to create a very strong foundation in electricity generation for the future is really firm, both at policy level and the environment. If you see now what's happening, what is flowing in the thermal power generation, thermal power investment, what is going on in
Mamba?
No, generally. Mamba is doing phase 2.
Yeah.
And there are other prospective investors in thermal power generation investment. And then we have solar power, investment. And also not forgetting our traditional clean energy of hydro. So these investments, if they are put on the table here, you can see that with this policy framework that has enabled attraction of the investment and show you the numbers, what is coming ahead of us is quite hopeful. And therefore, the future of this economy is being secured because the right decision is being made. And therefore, even the vulnerability of the country to weather conditions on electricity is being mitigated because now, going into the future, our power generation won't depend largely on hydro. Hydro is still important to still be there. Now we have thermal driven by coal, and we have very rich coal reserves in this country, and then we have solar. So the diversification of energy sources, electricity sources in Zambia that is taking place here is quite hopeful. And this is what you do, and it's not overnight. It's a process. You cannot finish it in one year or 2 years. It takes a little longer to come out of that. And I will tell you later what some of the reforms that were done in the energy sector to attract this investment that has come through.
Let's start with the mines. And as far as foreign direct investment is concerned in the mines, there's been a lot of talk around the fact that, you sing so much about investment in the mines, but this is not to the benefit of an ordinary Zambian. It's to the benefit of investors themselves. They externalize the profits and the monies, and so the opposition are busy talking about how this or so-called investment in the mines has nothing and very little at all to benefit an ordinary Zambian. How do you? And you have been an advocate. You have on several times supported the stance of Minister Stumbeko in as far as the mines and mineral
Yes,
royalties is concerned. You
Yes.
did the same even when he was minister in the RB.
Yes,
you
yes,
said
yes.
he made right decisions.
Yes.
And he has brought back those decisions this time around, and you still say they are the right decisions.
Yes, yes.
Just share with us, because the bigger discussion also around the mines is that this government doesn't care because it has given free tax on miners, so we are losing 3 billion a year in that. Just explain how these things
It's exactly.
work.
That
and the
is, there's
truth.
a lot of misinformation
Around tax break.
Yeah, these things are scientific. They have numbers. There's a science behind these things. You need to understand that. First of all, let me tell you, UNIP, our first party in power in our independence, before they left the power, they were planning to liberalize even the mining sector. Why? To bring in the private sector investment. MMD did the same. PF did the same. UPN did the same. So all major parties are pro-private sector investments. And I'm telling you here from evidence. Okay? MMD believed that private sector investment was the right way to go. I agree. And it worked. PF believed that private sector investment was the right way to go. And it worked somehow. UPND believes that the private sector is the right way to go. And it's working even better. Let me tell you, for example, that the mining companies are not paying. Who is saying that? Do you know the forms of taxes from the mines? We have the mineral royalty, we have the corporation tax, you have pay as you earn, which is occasioned by mining, because when you pay the workers, they pay as you earn. If there's no mining, there will be no pay as you earn coming to government from the mining sector. Do you know how many workers are now involved within the mining ecosystem? The actual big mines. Okay? If you go now to Kansanshi, you go to Kalumbila, you go to Lumwana, okay? You come to Mopani, you go to KCM. I'm talking about the big mines and the other mines, the Luansha mines and so on.
Because KCM, for example,
Yeah.
I'm told it's probably the second biggest employer to government.
Yeah, it could be. So I don't have the numbers, but it's of course the biggest mine. It has been the biggest mine. But because of mismanagement, it doesn't post as much income as, for example, Kalumbila.
Right.
And the Lumana and so on, because of the disorganization that has happened in the recent past. So that pay as you earn, that is coming to a treasury from the workers who work in the mining sector and the suppliers in the mining sector, the transporters, the other logistics. All that is a ripple effect of mining. It's a multiplier effect. Now, what mining sector does is that at the moment, mining sector has the biggest multiplier effect on the economy than any sector. So, when there is mining in Kalumbila, there are workers there. They are paid the money. They pay as you earn. It comes in the treasury. Okay? I know, for example, Kansanshi, they have reached what you call profit position, and they have been paying corporation tax for more than 15 years. The numbers are there. Maybe the issue is that the numbers are not being availed clearly. What we need here is, perhaps as we have this discussion, is actually to bring the numbers on the table. To say we are receiving so much corporation tax, we are receiving so much pay as you earn in mining-related companies, direct and indirect. We are receiving so much money that is coming through toll fees because of the mining. We are receiving so much from the transportation sector that is working in the mines. So you see the multiplier effect here. Because of this, there are other attendant businesses that grow around the mining sector. You have seen how Sorezi, just housing boom in Sorezi, that is occasioned by mining. That's a multiplier effect. When you do that, if the council is organized, then your rates on property go up because the properties pay rates. You just need to formalize them. You have seen now already, Kalumbila, is a town that is growing from nowhere, from the bush. One of the fastest growing town now is Kalumbila, just from the bush, occasioned by mining. This is what mining does. I can tell you now, Zach, in the next 4 years, especially 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, 2031, when the other mines, for example, the super pit in Lumwana, will be operational, start producing by 2028. But they have sunk in $2 billion just to prepare for production. Prepare the pit. They have spent money before producing. And the production will start in 2028. One of the biggest pits, in fact, the biggest open cast mine in Africa. Then you have the Mingomba, okay? The cobalt. That is coming on. That will also be the biggest mine. All this will have a ripple effect. They will employ workers. There will be demand for transportation. There will be toll fees along the way for movements of copper. For movement of machinery into. All this money comes in to support the economy. So you don't just look at the direct taxes. There are direct taxes paid by the mines. There are taxes that are occasioned because of the mine. What we call now the multiplier. Core Belt had almost gone down, my brother, when the mining sector was down. As the mining sector begins to be revived, the towns come back to life. The only problem is the crisis at KCM that has been there for some time. That's why you see problems in Chingola and generally, because it has been the biggest mine there. Mopani also had issues. The moment these mines began to full production, the vibration will reach all towns and townships like before. Like we had, Zaki, from 2008 to about 2012, 2013, before we started regressing on some of the policies and made Zambia unattractive for investment. So in this one, my brother, next time you call me here, I will ask for figures and I will show you that the mining companies pay. And that because of mining, there are other attendant taxes that has been occasioned, and therefore, and also the best practice. It is in the countries where there is an interface between government and the private sector where we have more progress in the economy. And this give an example of Botswana. Botswana has been mining government with the De Beers. De Beers has a allowance share in mining diamonds. Of course, they are now talking. Whatever, those are normal. But even in Zambia, by the way, these mines, government has shares in those mines. They might be minority, but they have shares. But the one who puts more money is the one who has the biggest share. And therefore, when we argue about the mining sector here, one must give the alternative. Most of the people who talk here, when they had an opportunity, they never did that. You get my point? So I remember in 2011. People are saying, and some of the civil society, they are saying, no, bring back wind for tax. Minister Musokotwane removed wind for tax. I was in parliament. Because it can't work.
Explain what that is to an ordinary.
It is a strange.
Explain what wind for tax, because
the wind for tax,
ignorance.
Over and above the taxes that government collects from the mines, you bring a tax where if a copper price reaches a particular level, you begin to get more taxes.
Isn't that good?
What you must is
beneficial?
Is it practical? The investors that you see coming in our mines have options. Zambia is not the only country with copper. Therefore, we are competing for investment. They will drive. They will go to Congo. What we did when the mining policy was changed after 2011. By the way, under Musokotwane and RB, Zambia temporarily had become #1 copper producer in Africa. I'm sure you know. People were saying in 2010, 2011, they could feel the money. Whether you are a supplier in Shangombo, you supply, government was paying you promptly. People could feel the money. Yeah. That is the effect of strong macroeconomic indicators or macroeconomic situation in the country. When the government does the right thing to make first of the economy grow, to make the economy stabilize, that everyone feels it. People tell us, no, under RB, things were better. The very people who removed RB. Let me say here, we people are very careless sometimes. It was not right to remove RB in 2011 on the economic front. MMD should have continued in 2011 because the policies were right. But when you go in the city, start mob politics that are not informed, you go into problems. The crisis we are having here is a reversal of post-2011, when the policies that were working were tampered with. Had we continued with the fiscal regime and the policy environment that was there in 2011, by now Zambia was going to have taken off. This economy could have taken off. I'm talking about the economy here, not politics. Yeah, so there must be consistency in what is good. This has worked before. And therefore there is evidence. And what the minister is doing is correct. So at a macro level, the stewardship of Minister Musokotwane is correct. Okay? We might have issues on service delivery down there. But at a macro level, it's important because the macros is a framework. Is a central framework. If it's broken, you can never do anything at the grassroots. So stabilize the economy first at the top, and they begin to improve service delivery, which itself is work in progress. So the issue of saying that the mining companies are not paying, you know what happens with the mining sector? When you bring an attractive tax regime in the mines, like what people are insinuating, you dry out investments. When there is disinvestment, some mines begin to close or scale down. Even the tax revenue will reduce even more. A closed mine does not pay taxes. A mine like, for example, what happened in the case, what happened in Mopane, there are no taxes coming through. So the situation in the country, the most effect to an ordinary Zambian happens when you put policies that bring growth. The silver bullet for addressing the economic challenges people are facing, whether it's the cost of living, whether it's road shading, is growth. Growth and growth. Let me give you an example. We had an issue of minimum price that were really skyrocketing, especially the other year. Last year, when the maize production went up, minimum prices stabilized. Exactly. As in the minimum prices stabilized. I'm talking stabilizing.
Yeah.
I mean, even in some instances, the price came a little down. That is the efficacy of putting policies that grow an economy. It is growth that stabilizes. Some of these populist policies don't work. They have never worked anywhere. There are countries where they are doing populist politics. Go there and see how the economies have collapsed. So this is a science. We must understand it. I can't go to the hospital and claim to be a doctor. I must learn first of all to treat, how to do surgery. So this issue of saying no hospital, they're not being treated properly as if you are a doctor. So even issues of the economy, we must understand the science behind it. That the right policies must be in place, and consistent policies for that matter, to attract the limited investments. Let me tell you, for example, Zax, in the energy sector, do you know that in the whole SADC, basically, we have an energy crisis? We talk about Zimbabwe, we talk about Botswana, talk about Namibia. South Africa, they only sorted out. So South Africa had reached stage 4 of load shedding before the last elections. Congo, even Angola, it's not highly connected. So we have a crisis of energy, and therefore we are competing for investment in energy. So you need to put the right policies. Look at in the energy sector, for example. Haven't you seen that with the policies in energy, investment has come in? ZESCO was in huge debts, and that was a disincentive for the private sector to invest in energy, because ZESCO, which was distributing power, was indebted. So when you supply to ZESCO, your money is stuck there. It was happening with Mamba thermal power station, that they were supplying energy to ZESCO, and ZESCO was not paying back. That debt has been clear the last 3 years. And that's why you are seeing now people saying, oh, the energy dashboard in Zambia now is cleaner. They have read it. That's why they are now flocking. You see, You see Dangote coming here. You see all these big investors from China, from Europe, from America, because they have read the numbers. The dashboard is clean. There was a date in Mozambique of power consumed in the yesteryears. That has been cleaned to a very large extent, enabling the country now to have the capacity, where we have a deficit, to import. How can you import when you owe? Can you still buy more from someone you owe? They will tell you, pay my Nkongol, pay my debt, then you start importing. And therefore, so the balance sheet in the energy sector, by and large, is cleaned and sufficiently cleaned now. And that's why you see things now stabilizing. Going into the future, you will just see a growth and more growth. That's how it is done. So the energy sector was laden with huge debts, apart from the international debt that the government had. Even the energy sector itself was laden with huge debts by government in Mozambique, ZESCO, which was not paying back, because these private guys who produce power want to be paid immediately. They supply their power. And another brilliant reform that has been implemented under this government is the access for transmission of power. Okay, that free access. Not free access, the access to transmit power using ZESCO lines.
Yeah.
That has been liberalized. And because of that, aren't you surprised that despite this load shedding, the mining sector investment and the production is going up, because mining is driven by energy. This year, we are tinkering towards 1 million metric tons of copper. Yet shedding. How did it happen? The reforms to allow the private sector to use the ZESCO transmission lines and pay a fee, what we call waiting fee, to supply power, have enabled the mines to access power from the private suppliers, whether it's Mozambique and so on, and South Africa and so on and so forth. And therefore, the mining production has not been adversely affected by low power. It was not power generated in Zambia, no. It was power bought by the private sector from wherever it was and transmitted through our lines. That open access, that's the name. The open access reform is a game changer. How does a country that is laden with such shortage in power increase production in mining production that is driven by energy? That's genius. Brilliant. In the year of heavy load shedding,
yeah,
mining production has increased to the highest ever. By the way, we have never reached a million tons of copper, and this is the first time we are hitting there in the West here, post the drought, post the debt in the energy sector. So you can see that there is hope for the future. And this is what I said on behalf of my party when we endorsed UPND for 2026, that the right reforms are taking place in the energy sector. And I repeat today, the right reforms are taking place in the energy sector in terms of diversification, cleaning the balance sheet, the policy reforms that are attractive for private sector, and that's why you see investors, big investors, credible investors are flocking to this country. So I can tell you, going into the next term of office, the next cycle of government, of the UPND, okay, this economy is taking off. But it's not overnight. It won't happen now. So it won't happen now. It's a process.
But that's a Zambian attitude.
No,
the Zambian attitude. That's why we should have seen. We should have seen the best in the past 4 years. We should have seen the best in the past 5 years.
I have heard.
You know that. I mean, and you look. We Zambians are impatient people.
Yeah, I think what we need also, while the citizens may be impatient, we who are on the government side must explain things clearly.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, so we owe Zambian people explanations.
And you agree that this government is not doing well in explaining the...
MMD in 2011 lost elections even when they are doing better by not explaining properly. If MMD had won elections in 2011, this economy was on the threshold of takeoff. Some of the people I met them, do you still say that we must introduce the windfall tax? They came to Parliament. I asked some of them. You were saying that the government must introduce the windfall tax. Yes, the MMD has lost now under Rupiah Banda, Mussolini as Minister of Finance. Are you windfall tax? They are running away. So they were advocating something they never understood. When you put onerous and adverse taxes on any sector, you create disincentive, you kill that sector. Investment goes elsewhere. I didn't finish explaining. And before 2011, Zambia had become #1 copper producer in Africa. We had beaten Congo temporarily. The
was that as a result of
good policies
of removing windfall tax?
Exactly. Putting a competitive
tax regime. Yeah.
Because, my friend, if you want
you, sir. Not to cut you short.
Yes.
I want to back your statement with the fact that I think during the PF regime, I hosted the Zambia Chamber of Mines.
Yes.
A number of times. They were very unhappy with the Patriotic Front, especially policies on mines, especially the tax regime.
Yes.
Because they spoke highly. I mean, they speak for the mines.
Yes. And also there was inconsistency.
Exactly.
You need the right tax policies that are competitive, okay, that are attractive, and you need to be consistent. So before so we were #1 copper producer in Africa temporarily. When we changed the tax regime and it became adversarial and unattractive, do you know what happened? Congo, with all its war, copper production went up. The investors were here. They just put, the investors are standing, the copper mining giants. One leg is in Congo, one leg in Zambia. So wherever there is a better regime, they just move the other leg the other side. And the investment moved to Congo. With all the wars and infrastructure development challenges, with all the deficit of power, most of these mines get power from Zambia in Congo for some time. They still beat us in copper production. By the way, copper production is near Zambian side here. This Katanga, Lualaba province, just here, neighboring. Lubumbashi, Likasi, Kolwezi. They are actually neighboring towns by the way. So Kolwezi basically is a neighboring town to Lubumbashi. Forget about Kasumbalesa, on that we don't have a good road here. If you put a good road to Kipush, you can go to Lubumbashi from Kolwezi in a day 4 times or 5 times. Because from the border in Kipush, I've been to Kipush.
I've been there too.
Yes, there's a tarmac in the other side. In Zambia side, we don't have.
At all.
In fact, that's the only place where Zambia looks like Congo. Congo looks like Zambia. Because that side, Kipush town is smart.
Absolutely.
So when you cross over there, you can go to Lubumbashi, it's 30 kilometers in tarmac. So the mines you have here are actually bordering. This copper belt is an extension into Congo, and that's why you see Northwestern is coming. So it's one rock. So this is just cut by the border. So they're not mining copper in Kisangani. No. There is dam and other things, But the copper is just in the neighborhood. Infrastructure deficits, with their energy deficits, with their wars and their insecurity, Congo copper production went higher than Zambia. Why? The policy environment. Now, it means the investors, the thing they look at on the dashboard, economic dashboard of any country, #1 is the competitive policy, the right policy and the consistency. And therefore, we must run with these policies for some years, and the benefits are going to come through.
Yeah, because
I want to repeat what I said last year.
We were a laughing stock.
Oh, no, we're going
on the international scale, because they were saying Congo has all the wars and all, but they are #1 in copper production, and Zambia with all the peace.
The right policies. While we agree that Congo, in terms of deposits, have richer deposits, but Zambia,
the environment is
But you see now we are discovering more deposits. Look at the discovery of cobalt. So even now, there are still discoveries, and the investment in exploration now is given even a higher attention, and there'll be more discoveries of these minerals, because mining is what is a cranker. If you want the agriculture sector to grow, if you want tourism to grow, if you want the logistics to grow, if you want infrastructure development to grow, you need a cranker. You need something that jump starts. So mining is a jump starter. The moment you have now this better mining in this country and the exports, the kwacha is strengthening. Do you know what happens now in agriculture? Eventually, the farming inputs will become affordable because we are more or less import dependent. Eventually, it's cheaper to order machinery for construction of roads. And for the other industries, the micro industries you see around here, even our friends in Panganani here, it becomes easy for them to order parts from Japan. And you know, I want to urge government, the Panganani people, they need to be given space. These guys can make a car.
Absolutely.
They can make a car. They can make a car from the we can have a Zambian car made from the street. So but you see, the Panganani people here who repair cars, because of the increased mining investment and increased exports, and the kwacha is strengthening, they benefit. Because now they can order their parts to re-engineer what they are doing there. They can order their windscreens. They are ever repairing windscreens. This country, windscreens just break anyhow because there are stones everywhere because we have bad roads. Me, I don't know how many times I'm driving, a stone comes. I have not made an accident. A stone comes and just hits my windscreen. It's broken. I've done it 3 times. But these guys, they need a stable kwacha, a stronger kwacha to order windscreens and have more business. The farmers also. So there is this consequential multiplier effect in all the sectors. Whether it's someone running a boutique and you're ordering something, it becomes cheaper for you to go to Turkey and go and bring your goods. You can see already. That's why the exchange rate is the one of the biggest indicator.
I was about to ask you what is driving the stability in the exchange rate.
There is a positive correlation. Okay, when you do a graph for copper production and the exports, you see also the exchange rate becoming stronger. These are related. They go hand in hand. The moment copper production goes down, the kwacha weakens.
But there's a question.
Yeah.
And the question is all about, well, these foreigners, when they foreign investors, that is, when they get their copper, for example, and they sell it, money stays abroad. It's not banked locally. And so we will not see the actual benefit.
The money comes here. They bring in money to pay taxes. They bring in money for operations. They bring in money to pay suppliers. These guys have costs here. They pay transporters. They pay toll fees. Let me tell you, if we did a simulation here, just close the mines today, the economy collapses. The kwacha collapses. My friend, let me talk about your country. There are some countries in the neighborhood. I don't want to mention names. But let's mention Angola. Okay? When the Angolan economy had collapsed, my friend, of course that was due to war and so on. Their currency called the Kwanza. People just throw it away. They're using the dollar. In DRC here, do they use their currency? They use the dollar. So you need to protect the sectors that give strength to your currency. When your currency, my brother, collapses, my friend, will go mad. Nothing works. You fail to charge people here in these shops here. Everything just changing. You start using US dollar, which is not your currency. So basically, the pricing system collapses. And this is what this government has done to prevent the collapse of the currency. We have enough examples for us not to go that route. And therefore, it is important when we are debating here to give the alternative. For my friends who were in government before, whether it's under MMD, whether it's under PF, whether it's under UNIP and so on, they have evidence to tell us on what they did. Did it work or not? If it worked, show us how it worked. So there is what is feasible, and there is something that is just good to say. Oh, mines are not paying. By the way, how many licenses are in Zambian hands? Over 1,000 licenses are in Zambian hands. So even the Zambians now must begin to learn, and some of them are going into mining. They are doing direct mining. Go to Kasempa, go to Mukushi here, there's some copper, go on the copper. There are also Zambians. Go to Sores, there are Zambians who are involved in mining. Even in gold, the major people who are supplying gold to the Zamgold, this company that owned by government through the central bank, are Zambians. I've met Zambians who are mining in Impika and they are selling gold here. I have met Zambians who are in Mumbwa who are running their own gold mines. I've met Zambians here in Chisamba, in Kasisi there. I have been to the pit. I have samples of gold in my house because I'm also at Tamanga. You understand? So they are mining. They are Zambians. I don't want to mention there is one Zambian. I can't mention his name here. It's to be unethical. Who runs a gold mine? I'm so proud of him. I will not mention here.
But they seem not to. They seem not to be political. They seem not to be political will. They seem not to be political will in as far as buying gold from miners using Zamgold, as compared to how the political will was so strong under PF. Under this government, there seem to be nothing in that direction.
What because political will on what?
In terms of understanding how important this is, because I think the Patriotic Front bought gold, and through Zamgold, Bank of Zambia
I want to say this.
Had gold reserve.
I want to say this.
This government has not deliberately pushed that agenda.
I want to say there are some good things that PF did. Okay? One of them was to create a facility to buy gold. And this government, they say this is good, they have continued. That's what you do. Good things will continue. But or you reform. Government has continued. Even now,
but there's no sensitization.
No.
Because
most of and what this government is doing now is that they want to bring order in the mining areas. That we need formal mining. Illegal mining is dangerous, even for the miners themselves. Do you know how many people are being buried around here? I've been to the mining pits here in Mumbwa, even to the places where people were buried in. People start digging there, inside there, without any support of the tunnel. 15 people go inside there and it collapses. All the people die immediately. They suffocate. It's happening in all these gold areas. So what this government is doing to value add on that policy, especially on the mining side, is to bring formal mining. You cannot allow illegal mining, informal mining. It's not good for anyone. That is scavenging. It's dangerous, even for the people who are mining. It's unhealthy. People are dying. How can you have 25,000 people in the same area? And there are also unreported deaths in those places where people die and they just close and then they are going to pick up some gold somewhere. So this formalization of the mining sector, even at micro level for small miners, is good for all Zambians. It's good for those people who are mining there. It is good for the economy and it's good for everybody. Order. But the issue of buying gold, the facility has been kept. I know, for example, in Mumbwa here, I have personal friends who are running gold mines there.
And they sell to Zamgold?
Yes. I know a friend did his gold, and in one process, he made 6 kg of gold. Do you know how much that is? In Mumbwa here, the problem is that, you see, we are political. I've been to Mumbwa gold places in my free time. I've been to all these places. I've been to Kasempa in those places. We need to go there and see evidence. It's very easy to talk here in Lusaka. Some of the people are talking have never been to these mining areas. And I'm happy that the traditional leaders are cooperating with the government to formalize mining everywhere and anywhere in the country. It's good for the miners, it's good for the chiefdoms, it's good for the greater economy. So government as the father must do the right thing, so that its children, those who are mining around here, are not endangered. There's no one who benefits from a chaotic mining that is informed. I'm just trying to explain here. So what is the good thing happening there? There's a push for formalization. Recently, I heard the army commander in Siavonga there's also a stampede for some mine there, who stopped illegal mining. So they formalize.
And I was coming to that.
It's everywhere.
And I was coming to that.
Whether it's Mapatija, everywhere there must be.
I know that the army.
Is leadership. That is leadership.
I know that the army has finally instituted patrols to curb illegal mining.
Yes.
And my question here is, from the political point of view, any other politician would not want to do this towards elections.
In Congo,
because now you think like I'm betraying a lot of people who may not vote for me eventually.
The one who betrays the people is the one who allows illegal mining, because you are allowing destruction. In Congo, they allowed it. Go to Congo now. Everyone is there's a private army around a mine. So leadership requires making difficult, sometimes unpopular decisions.
And these are.
But good for the country. That is leadership. This country requires leadership, not mob thinking. You understand, eh? So I can tell you, Zaki, that the reasons that we put across to support UPND and to join this alliance, after having looked at the options 1 year ago, today when we review, we look back and say, we made the right decision. And we're very happy to go with the UPND into 2026 elections, that this government continues because of the reforms that are creating a very firm foundation for the future. We agree the cost of living is biting. We agree there's load shedding. But the question that begs an answer is that, is there something being done about it? Yes.
Explain on cost of living, what is being done about it?
I've told you, for example, one of the drivers of any production is energy, where the crisis in energy. And the crisis in energy is not because of 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Zambia's investment in energy generation had lagged behind the demand. The only time we had huge investment, I can tell you, the first time was during Saroi Warensik in 1959-60, who built that government, the federation government, that ran for 10 years. By the way, Saroi Warensik was the member of parliament for Broken Hill, Kabwe, and he became prime minister of the federation. Oh, what a great guy. When they built Kariba Dam, it was the biggest man-made lake in the world. So apart from the dam, Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia had more than sufficient power, and Zambia, this federation was exporting power beyond themselves, driving Congo mine in Katanga, and also exporting into South Africa. Big decision. The next big decision was 1973, Kafue Gorge Upper, by Dr. Kaunda's government. Now, from that time, there hasn't been significant investment in energy, while demand has been going up. Do you know how many people were, for example, when the Kariba Dam was I don't know, that time I was not even born, but the population of Zambia could have less than 2 million, because at independence, Zambia's population was 3 million. 1973, Kafue Gorge Upper, done by UNIP government, Zambia population was basically maybe 5 million or less. Because by 1990, we were 7 million people. Yet, the Kafue Gorge lower site was already identified. It's on the same, if you've been there. Okay? You journalists must go to these places. I've been to these places because we must talk from knowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the Kafue Gorge lower, and then the Kafue Gorge upper, the first one, 1973, and the one that was done under PF and completed under UPND. Down there.
The lower, yeah.
The lower one. By the time that thing was done, the demand had already outstripped the supply of power. So we were already behind. Even when that 750 came on board. Look at the expansion. Just look at Lusaka. Did you have this 10-mile construction of houses? There was nothing. When you drive to Cabo here, it was just farms. Just see here. Lusaka is reaching Chisamba. It is now going to hit Chibombo. Just look at go to Chongo here. Was there houses in Chongo there? When you drive Gettys Road, just after the roundabout, you start seeing the bush. There was no silver rest there. There was nothing. Chongo was a small town. Look what the expansion. Chongo now is marrying with Lusaka. Lusaka now is being married. I don't know why. That's why we must reconfigure the districts. I don't know what Chilanga. Chilanga is in Lusaka. It's in the belly of Lusaka. So look at the expansion everywhere. Go into Livingstone. Go onto the Copper Belt. As you enter Livingstone, I grew up in Livingstone. As you enter Livingstone, there was nothing. Literally up to the checkpoint now. Livingstone is coming this way. Go on the Copper Belt. Yes, there are a number of these mining towns, but look at the construction as you enter Copper Belt. The new towns now. So Rwezi, the expansion. Kalumbila. Even the other non-mining towns. If you enter Kasama, beautiful town built around there, kind of a hill. But look now, as you enter Kasama, a few kilometers, residential start. Whether it's Mansa, whether it's Chipata. So that expansion means that more connections. Now, that's just residential. What about industries? We now have new industries, the M-Phase and all these industries, they're coming back. They're coming back. We have now 5 FM. Were you there? How many radio stations do you have? Don't you use power yourself? So the demand has outstripped the supply. So Zambia has been, whichever government, by the way, whichever party had won the elections in 2021, we are going to have load shedding. Numbers don't lie. So what is government doing? This ugly, and I'm happy that the president apologized for the say no. So we bear with you, Zambians, for this load shedding. It's not nice. But the question you must ask: what are they doing? They are doing a fantastic job to increase investment and diversify, so that even when we have drought in the future, apart from the inadequacies, we have enough power from thermal, solar, and hydro. Watch Zambia in the next 3 years, my friend. This thing will be history. Just in thermal investment here. Already the things that are on paper. Mwamba phase 2, 300. The old one, 300, 600 just from one company. The new company putting up 600 megawatts of thermal. Another company. So already if you go the activity in Sinazongwe now, go to Sinazongwe now and see the activities around coal mining to feed into the thermal power stations that are coming on board. So, and these things don't happen over time. Look at the Mamba phase 2. It's taking about 3 years. It's expensive. It's high tech. It's not done in 1 year. The other one, they are still under feasibility. It's environmental issue. Do you need to go and get the environmental brief approval? Once this is done and they invest, and now the balance sheet for Zambia is clean, and therefore for these private sector players to raise money to a country that has a better rating. So already these things you have seen, the new ratings, that is giving Zambia a good image. It is making it easier for the private sector to raise money. So one good policy leads to another good development. It's a chain reaction. So Zambians, dear Zambians, be patient with the process. The hard questions they must ask: what are you doing about it? Look at agriculture. This year, I must say this is like, since I'm talking to people in Chipata, Kapiri and so on, where your radio station reaches. This year, government has implemented 100% e-voucher delivery of farming inputs. Brilliant. I was in Parliament for 10 years, and there are reports in Parliament that recommended that Zambia goes e-voucher. We have been desiring all these years. That report was more than 10 years ago. This government has taken a bold decision to go e-voucher. Do you know what e-voucher has done? I've talked to many farmers here. My friend, they are getting their inputs real time. The next benefit, the agro dealers across the whole country have gotten business, broad-based approach, where the majority benefit. So the Farmer Input Support Program, through the platform of e-voucher, has not only delivered inputs early and easier, wherever you are, but it has created businesses for agro dealers across the country. These are small and medium enterprises. Whether it's in Chama or Kaputa or Ikeleng or Shangombo, people are swiping there, creating businesses for the players there. Have you seen now the type of multiplier effect, the benefits that have gone to many people? Go there, go to the small towns and ask, go to Chisamba, go to Mukushi, go to Mansa, go to emerging farming places like Kawambwa and see how the agro dealers are happy. Now they have business, meaning the agro dealers who are the small and medium enterprises have had a lot of business in these 3 months of input supply. When they finish now, they can go in agro marketing. Brilliant. Even the delay to pay farmers, which is regrettable, is that government bought more maize than what they budgeted. The private sector, in some of these buying maize areas, they were buying a bag of maize at 200 kwacha per 50 kg. Government was buying at what? Is it 340?
Yes.
So the people were queuing to sell to FRA, and FRA could not say go away, bought enough. It is their government. So government opted to buy more than what was budgeted for. This is the reason for the delay in paying the farmers. The Minister of Finance has to look for a supplementary budget. You know, budget is low.
And he's always looking for supplementary budget.
Yes, now, because of this, for example. Yeah. If you were to buy,
and this has been tagged as poor planning by this government.
It is not. Government is a last resort. When there's a problem, where there is a market failure, government steps in, even in unplanned areas. So government, for example, if they are buying 600 metric tons for food reserve, okay, this was also budgeted, and the government 1.2 million tons, it means that you have to look at half. This is the unfortunate thing that has happened, but the farmers secured with a higher price, even the money they are owed. If a farmer sold to a private sector at 200, you lose 140 per bag. Per bag. Now, I was talking to one of my cousins. We met at a funeral, and I said, no, FRA still owes me. Right in the months there. It's across the country, by the way. And this young man says, how many bags did you sell? I sold 60. How much are they owing you? About over 20,000. This young man is the first time he's going to have 20,000. Bam.
But of what good?
Going into future.
Listen, of what good? Mr. President, of what good will a 20,000 come in December when you could have had it good enough in good time to probably even invest more in agriculture?
We must say this with humility, that the delay is unfortunate.
But do you realize what that does to his farming cycle?
It's unfortunate, and the people must bear with the government. However, it is to understand the reason behind that. They bought over and above what was budgeted for, but the government is doing everything possible. But this
government, Mr. President, anticipated the bumper harvest. It anticipated the bumper harvest.
No. It was not only the government to buy; the private sector was also to participate. But the private sector was to be inadequate, and they were. It's the farmers who chose to line up there and to sell. The private sector buyers were there. So if you are selling your maize, would you someone buying at 200 or at 340?
So then open up the borders and let the farmers sell, export.
First of all, it's regrettable. It's regrettable. There is this delay, and the government has said to that effect. Okay, that is unfortunate. But the issue is that they bought over and above to secure farmers with a higher price, and therefore now going into the future, government will put mechanisms to avail money beyond the food reserve requirement and buy over and above. So you keep learning along the way. But here's what has happened, Zach. While the farmers, some farmers are owed money, some have been paid from the budgeted money that was there, while the government is raising some money. The Farmer Input Support Program under the e-voucher, farmers have swiped because the money you put there is very little. They have swiped. All that regrettable is that they haven't been paid this other big amount to expand. But But for the farmers, the small-scale farmers that are really struggling, who are also on the farmer input support program, even when government owes them money, they have managed to access inputs under the e-voucher program, where you only pay a small amount and then you get that. And I'm happy government is doing this. They are creating the commodities exchange platform in the future. This is a great economy that's coming here, where that apply a maize, for example, and the government owes 50,000 through FRA. Now under that platform, you can take that paper to the financial players and discount it and get your money. So another ecosystem is going to be created around the commodities exchange. It's now no longer just maize. It is becoming a commodity which you can deposit and they give you a receipt, and that receipt is as good as money. So you need enabling legislation, enabling structures, enabling players. Already, I think this week there was that development that a commodity, which we should have done a long time ago. As we grow maize, and beans, and soya beans, and cowpeas, and sunflower, and all these things, we need the commercial platforms to uptake so that we grow to levels unlimited. Because government is buying is limited. But government now is creating a platform that will create a robust, bigger market for a farmer. That will become easy for a farmer. That receipt that you get will be as good as money.
This is the Tuesday edition of The Burning Issue here on the Happy World of 5 FM radio. We're also live on our partner radio stations, live on Katete FM. We're live on Spice FM in Central Province, Kabwe to be precise. We are live also on ZFM in Kapiri, live on Platinum Radio in Indola, and in Mat we are live on Tuta FM. Our guest today is Mr. Highvie Hamududu. He is president of the Party of National Unity and Progress, PUNP, a party which is part of the UPND alliance. We'll take phone calls on 0955-221515. Our discussion this morning is centered more on the economy, and that's the reason why we concentrated more on economic driver sectors, in this case, energy, mining, and agriculture. And so we would appreciate if our arguments or contributions can be around those sectors. Good morning.
Good morning, Mazaki.
Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Well, this is Moses. I'm calling you from within Lusaka.
Moses,
President,
please go ahead.
President, good morning.
Good morning, Moses, and how are you?
I'm fine. You know, I used to be my favorite president, opposition leader at that time. But hearing from you this morning, Mr. President, I can tell clearly that you are not the Hamududu I knew when you were in the opposition, in parliament, and when you were in the opposition as president. Everything has changed. You are now limited even in the way that you are speaking. Why? You used to offer that constructive, criticism to the government, to the party in government at that time. But now you are limited. You cannot tell this government where they are not doing right. All you have done this morning is to be very careful in the way that you choose to do. I think you are going to do you're going to help us a lot as a country, even as citizens, had you remain in the opposition, because you could have helped this government or this political party to govern better. You can't tell me that there are no challenges that this government has had. There are positives, yes, like the free education. I think that is great for the country. But there are other also,
Mr. Moses, are you saying he could have helped this government better by being in opposition and not being in the alliance?
Exactly, because he was going to be very much open to tell even His Excellency, even the UPND, where they are not doing that. But you can see this morning, Razak, that he's running away.
I think he has mentioned where they are not doing well.
It's very little in
but Moses, can I say something while you're still there?
Yes, Dad.
You know what's happening is that we are now part of the UPND alliance.
Okay.
The helping we are doing, we meet in the alliance meeting and we talk.
Even me, I'm part of that UPND
do you know?
alliance.
Do you know what's happening, sir?
Yes.
Is that as part of the alliance,
Uh-huh.
you are held by what we call collective responsibility.
Oh, I understand.
Where things are not going well, we meet and we are talking. Here do better. Here do better. Here you do better. We are talking, but you cannot come and start having a different view. It's called disorder.
Okay.
You get my point. So, but I'm explaining, for example, where government is lacking. When we meet in the caucuses, we talk.
Uh-huh.
We talk, and sometimes we are very happy. Some of the things that we are talking are coming through. So now,
you mean behind the doors you do that?
oh my goodness, my brother.
Thank you.
There we meet in the. Let me tell you, in the caucuses, it's brutal.
Uh-huh.
It's brutal. We talk
Thank
because what happens is that we must, sir, as an alliance, if you differ in the public, you cannot be trusted with power because you are already a confusion.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so it's called order. It's called order.
Yes. Yeah. So lastly, as I go, we've had almost 90 Chakuti by-election in this country, and as a party alliance, why didn't you give us even 2 candidates to stand in those by-elections? It has all been UPND. What is your role in that alliance?
What is yes? What is happening, Moses?
Is that so, Moses? So that maybe I can let you go.
Yes, no. Let me finish. While it's still there, it's just this one. For example, we have an okay.
Yes.
So in that constituency, they are doing well. We are fighting for that slot.
Okay.
Yes,
so
yes, and they are going. Yes, once we agree.
Okay.
And there are a number of constituencies, 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. We are going to agree that here we have a strong candidate. This one. Yeah. So we will have that.
Lastly, tell us the constituencies that are earmarked for the limitation. We want to debate on that one as well. It cannot be the
Thank you.
Kind of arrangement.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Moses, we were sticking more to the economy today.
Answer it. It's a good question.
Well, I thought we should stick more on the economy today.
Yeah.
I think last Thursday we had President Winter Kabimba, who I think spent time on the constitution amendment, and of course the limitation was part of our conversation.
Yes.
But we thought we should understand on how UPND alliance is moving on the economic front and how the future looks like. Now, I've got a question, I think, here on I got a question on Facebook. Let me just share it with you because it's quite loaded. This one is from Mulumbeni Chirwa, who says you came to power on a massive wave of public trust, promising a new dawn of competent. Let me just get it right. Okay. Oh, there we are. So on a new dawn, competent and credible governance. Yet many Zambians now feel they were sold a dream. Let's address the trust deficit directly. First, on integrity. You fiercely criticized the previous government, debt deals and lack of transparency. Now, your administration oversees the Mopani transaction where the state bought shares for $1 but burdened Zambians with $1.5 billion in debt that is for a struggling mine. Challenged Bill 10, but now seem pushing through Bill 7 with similar concerning provisions. This looks like a complete reversal. Why shouldn't the people see this as hypocrisy and fundamental lack of credibility. It's concerning because obviously it touches on Mopani as well.
We'll talk about this.
Yeah, it touches on Mopani as well. But let me also give you some more. Let me take a call. Good morning. Oh, we lost it. But let me quickly maybe see if I can pick another one. Here we are. Good morning.
Morning, Zach.
How are you today?
I'm well, Mr. Zulu.
Mr. Zulu.
Good morning.
Where are you calling us from?
From Liwala, Osaka.
Oh, great. Mr. Zulu, please go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you. Economics is a very difficult thing to explain to a layman.
Right.
I have done a bit of economics through my issues and all that. If you went down to the deep into where you come from, Wengwa, something, explain what you explained. You have explained. When to Mansa explained in Zemba and Tonga and Chinyanja, will that person where Zakaria Banda comes from and Tengure understand the economics? And because I've been to school, but if you went to the person right in the village, will they explain what you're going to will they understand what you're explaining? Of course, with a bit of school, they will understand. With no school in the village, they will not understand. They will not understand the GDP, they will not understand all that. What is the best way I'm going to explain to a person in the village? I'm saying, what is the best way I'm going to explain to people in the village? Understand this economics. You need to understand your Zambia. How do you see? Start and this. Let me explain the one G.
So in your admission, before you go, Mr. Zulu, in your admission that you do understand what he's explaining, when you say you do understand, do you agree with what he's basically stated? Do you see the future that he's talking about?
I totally agree. But here is that person when you come from Mr. Zakaria Banda, who has got no patience. Will they understand? And that's what this one has made our governments lose power.
Exactly.
Look at what he said. Disappear about the policy. Had we not removed him, everything would have been going on very well.
Exactly.
But because of that person who doesn't understand, that villager, he removed disappear ban. Brings the PF.
I remember, Mr. Zulu. There were people who were saying a lot of things against Rupia Banda.
Yes.
I said it's not true. And that time I was in the opposition.
Yes.
I was in UPN as a member of parliament. They said, no, how can you say like that? You see, you are a sellout. No, but me, I say what I think is correct. After Rupia Banda lost, the same people came and said, Rupia Banda was right, was better. You the same mouth. 2 years ago, I told them, my brother, in the same spot. 2 years ago.
Thank you, Mr. Zulu. Yeah. Maybe before you explain that, let me give you another one. Then I can give you an opportunity to explain. This one is from Eunice Mukandila Mwanza. Eunice Mukandila Mwanza says, good morning, Zach and Mr. Hamududu. Mr. President, do you think President Hakainde Hichilema and the administration are on right track to grow Zambia's economy? What's your take on recent development regarding Bill 7, on how government is handling it? Bill 7, good or bad, according to you personally? How are you prepared to make sure that you win next year's election? What strategy are you going to use?
I think this
Bill 7 keeps coming up. I didn't want it to come up.
Let's tackle this.
Sure.
Let's tackle this.
Yeah. And be brief so that I can take some more.
The debt issues. I can tell you, the debt issues are being addressed. The debt restructuring is seeing light of day. Okay? And because of that, stability is coming through. Confidence in the economy is coming through. That's why you're seeing all these investments coming. But you see, you won't see benefits now. It's a process. There is a gestation period. There is a period of fruition. It didn't happen just now. Okay? So this decision has happened, and because of that, you see the confidence that's coming through. And just the injections that are coming in the economy in terms of investment, in terms of goodwill, the grants that are coming in.
But it's not like this government has stopped borrowing. It has borrowed, and it keeps borrowing,
Look, to run a government, you need a particular threshold of resources. So because the economy was shrinking, there is a particular level of financing you need to get to keep the government afloat.
We are still highly indebted from the previous government's borrowing.
But
and if this government continues to borrow, what does that mean?
But you know what's happening? Growth finally will be defeated by, debts finally will be defeated by growth. The best way to fight indebtedness is growth. Now, the policies that have been put in place are beginning to produce growth. When the economy grows, the capacity to clear the debts is enhanced. And some of these debts have been put over a longer period, so there's a fiscal space, there's fiscal breather for now. You can still provide free education, you can still increase CDA for all constituents under a country that is in debt because of debt restructuring that has given you the fiscal space and the money coming through. But finally, Zambia will come out of debt when the growth begins to go up. Higher growth means higher taxes and therefore less debt. So government will accelerate. They're reducing the speed of borrowing because growth is coming through and therefore taking up. Go and check the numbers from Zambia Revenue Authority. Year to year, the growth in domestic revenue collection is going up. Now, when you are earning more money is going up. It means that you are going towards independence from debt. Okay? Then my brother talked about Mopani.
Yeah.
Mopani, the old deal is that Zambia was owing 1.5 billion. The new arrangement has wiped out that debt. So there is no debt now around Mopani.
Explain.
The new investor absorbed the debt. And it was renegotiated. What is there in Mopani now is just Zambian government, their shareholding or the 49% is just to get their benefits instead of dividends. There's no more debt on that shareholding in Mopani.
There's talk that in as far as Zambia running their own mines, Mopani was an opportunity to run the mine as Zambians or as Zambian government. Did we miss that opportunity? Was it feasible?
The arrangement under which Mopani was being run by government was a bad one. The agreement with Glencore left 1.5 billion debt on Mopani. And then they said they are going to be buying 80% of the copper to pay the debt at a prefixed price. Meaning, even if the price went up, we're not going to benefit from that. It was a bad deal. So to come out of that, the coming of the new investor cleaned out that debt and removed that yoke of debt, and secondly, removed that unfair arrangement of tying the production of copper from Mopani only to Glencore and only leave 20%. So it was a horse and rider relationship. Now Zambia has the 49% shareholding. If Zambian government wants now, they can demand 49% of copper as a dividend and do what you want to value add. And in Mopani now, Zambia, that's where Zambia has the highest shareholding in all the big mines. How much do we have in KCM? The shareholding. Basically, less than 30%. This one, 49%. Better deal. Now, the issue of, now I'll marry the issue of the Bill 7. I think Mr. Mulubeni and Eunice raised the issue.
Yeah.
I have the 11 areas of amendments here. In terms of content, there's not much controversy on this draft. By the way, this is a draft bill. It's not a final one. And
are there contents that you are in disagreement with? There
are inputs here. By the time the debate is over, the people submit at the committee, the technical report committee. They have also submitted there to capture the aspirations of Zambians on these areas. There will be in the final bill adjustments as demanded by Zambians. So, and these are very straightforward. Delimitation. Zambia is due for delimitation.
Why do you say at the end of all the submissions and scrutiny, we will have a a bill that is acceptable by Zambians. I mean, let's talk about the bill that
let me tell how
the bill that was deferred and now is back on the floor of
how
Parliament.
lawmaking in general is done. When you take this, a bill is a draft. Do you know why committees sit and people are going there to make their submissions? Is to capture the aspirations. And by the way, we might not be a perfect democracy, but we must pat ourselves on the back that systems are still working. The first time the bill went there, remember, there was a court case, and the Constitutional Court gave a directive that you go and consult the people. And people were consulted, and the report is there, and it has been tabled to this process. And therefore, the aspirations of Zambians, from the views that were collected and also the people that are appearing in the committee, will actually change the final text of this bill. They will say, on this one, the general feeling is ABC, and therefore this article is amended to take this into consideration. Unlike when you do a referendum is once you do this, you go and vote yes and no. But when you take a bill like this, like what we did in 2016, we were debating on the floor of the House, and there were amendments to that bill.
And the concern now is that why isn't this government making the technical committee report public?
What do you mean public?
I mean, what has been gathered? What has been the technical committee has gathered from the Zambians? I mean, the Zambians are expecting that they would like to see what Zambians themselves have said.
It's already public. I have a copy. It's already on the internet. It's already public.
And then there's this versus what was deferred and now back in Parliament.
Those are process issues, and some people have gone to the Constitutional Court. The systems are working. You know, where we have different opinions, let the adjudicator guide, isn't it? So the systems are working. In this process here, there's been checks and balances. In a non-functioning democracy, the thing could have gone a long time ago. But when people went...
Wasn't that their attempt? Wasn't that their attempt?
No, listen.
Before the Constitutional Court stopped it, wasn't that an attempt?
Government's actions. Listen, government is always held to account. There is what you call the doctrine of separation of powers. And the judiciary is the one, when you have different opinions, that rules, because this is a constitutional democracy. And the example in point, government was told, go and do this.
Which government?
And government compared
had no intention of doing.
Wait, in the day-to-day governance, that's why there's checks and balance on the government. Where government oversteps, they are guided. And this process has been guided. And this is not the first time. Remember Constitutional Court, at one time, remember there were ministers who stayed in Parliament against the spirit of the Constitution. And the Constitutional Court ruled against sitting ministers, and they were made to pay. The Constitutional Court ruled against a bill in Parliament by government, and government obeyed. So this democracy is functional.
Let me give you some more. Malumo Mukumba on Facebook says debt restructuring isn't it pushing the problems to our children? Was it necessary to actually take it to G20 instead of sitting down with China, the one we owe $6 billion? Zambian needed to celebrate debt cancellation period.
Most of this debt from China was government stroke commercial. All this kind of Ghana is in a debt, you know. All these countries.
What do you mean was government stroke commercial?
Yeah, most of these debts. For example, we have the bond, of course, not China, the Euro bond, which is over 3 billion.
Yeah.
And if we were to pay, by the way, Malumo, Zambia had no capacity to pay the bonds as we are falling due. 2022 was supposed to pay, 2023, and I think 2025. Bullet points, 750, 1.250, I think, $1 million. That man was not there. Zambia had devoted on a small bill of less than $100 million. So this issue is not as simple as no, there are other options.
And the 6 billion
what other options?
China debt?
No, but you see, there's what you call common framework. You cannot pay one debt and ignore the others. Okay? That's why this whole thing has to be brought on the same table. The common framework is that all the people that you owe must be treated fairly. Otherwise, they take you to task. That's why this debt restructuring has been problematic, because you need to bring all these people and agree on the terms. So you cannot agree with China at the expense of the bondholders. You can't agree with bondholders at the expense of China. That's why there's that commonality in treatment. So it's very complicated. It's not as simple. You started under PF. It was not coming through. To reach this milestone, people must say, well done. There was no other way, Mr. Maluma, apart from debt restructuring. And there is no provision for debt write-off. Debt write-off we ask of, and people are unwilling to write off debt. The debt write-off of the yesteryears, Zambia qualified. It was because of the painful reforms Zambia had undertaken. So actually that debt which was written off, Zambia paid for it through painful reforms. So what reforms have we done now to merit debt write-off? Tell me, how? So there is no provision for debt write-off. There's nothing. So what's happening now is that people are only giving you concessions. They also need their money. This is their government's money. This is their money for the businesses. So why the debt for Zimbabwe has not been written off? Why the debt for Ghana has not been written off? Why the debt for Kenya not written off? Why the debt for Tanzania has not been written off? Only Zambia qualified that time because we underwent painful reforms. What other reforms can we go through now to merit debt write-off?
Let me take some more calls. Yeah. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello. Well, that conversation. It's spilled. We picked that call whilst she had done a conversation. But let me give you Henry Mavimba on Facebook, who says, good morning. SMEs in Zambia are stagnant, possibly because of high cost of inputs such as energy and finance. I mean, borrowing from UNIP days, we had CEDO and worked well. Talking about financing, do you have plans to bring back a rebranded Development Bank of Zambia, for example, that is devoid of political abuse, that will support SMEs in entrepreneurial expertise and financing? SMEs, if properly harnessed, can propel GDP to higher levels.
I agree.
Can I take a call?
I agree.
Let me take a call. Good morning.
Good morning, Zaki.
Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Mr. Musanje calling you from Kanyama Central, Zambia.
Mr. Musanje, you have a minute. Be brief.
Honorable, good morning.
Morning. How are you, sir? Thank you.
So, Honorable, you have done a good job.
Thank you, sir.
This is the information people should have.
Thank you.
And before I go any further, I think free education should continue, it has to be mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
Because voter ministry now, the ignorance, illiteracy, they are many to vote. And that is the route the politicians take right on. In simple terms, Chilimonga Nkongole nina nyumba yanga, na ipaka nyumba yanga niko namo na wakazi wanga. Wabwera kuti walitoke nyumba. Na ikananga ko nepa, wamenu wani milio wanikambira ko kuti uyu muntu zona kulipira sana kane. Azalipira after 2 weeks. Nyumba msampoke.
Correct.
Musie na sagire ndalama, akakwalilika azalapa kulipira.
Yes.
Akupasa madezi ayo muntu. Sunga yamikire kuti nyumba yanga asepe yaenda lero. Kuwa Nkongole amene banali kutenga. Bananya mashuliti amene ya munga Benezesco. So today you fought. Vamene vanakongola vanakangiwa kuenda ukhala na vantu vamene vanakongola nawo ndalama. Vakangiwa kukambisana. Kwabwera muntu inango amene sinaliko kwamene mwenzi ukongolera usiku muzuva. Abwera akwalirisa kukambisana na vajamani. That's kukambisana kukwalisana kuti vakambisana. It's the best thing muntu mbulira kumutacha kuti ndamikira moyo alikabira.
Zikomo. Zikomo Musanje.
Kungwa kutali sena otherwise continue honorable talking.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right, there you have it. So maybe I can give you an opportunity to respond, even to Henry Mavimba as well, who spoke about.
Yeah. And you see what Mavimba has said, and Zulu, that it's a feedback. So as we are talking on the radio, you're also learning.
Right.
Yeah, from the people. That's why when you appear on radio like this, you must also take lessons learned. What have I learned here is called feedback. Even if people are not happy, you must listen to them. They are saying something. Mr. Zulu is saying you must simplify the explanations. So it's our task now to simplify. That because of these reforms and that being taken, the growth that is coming through, government is able to give free education. Because of this, government is able to increase CDF. That's why you see many desks. That's why you see classrooms. That's why you see each council has bought graders, which they didn't have. That's why you see all these developments. So we need to simplify. I agree with you. So that you bring explanations to the grassroots so that people are not misled. That is a very good feedback. For Mr. Mavimba, the issue of SMEs is very true. Very true. We need institutions and well-funded that support small and medium enterprises. Financing for SMEs is the issue that we are discussing. An institution, a better one of DBZ must come back. And I think the clause in that time was also, there was legislation around it that was also inhibiting its continuation. Did DBZ support, with all its deficiencies, support SMEs? Yes, it did. And you can actually, I can pinpoint some of the projects that were developed by DBZ. Now we have CEC, but we need more financing there. We have now the SAF loans in agriculture. We need to put a better institutional framework because government cannot run loans. They don't have the competence. These are issues that are under discussion. Any country that has developed requires easy access to financing for SMEs. If there is no financing, no matter how much you work hard, you are working hard for nothing. It requires financing. It requires refueling. That is the fuel for SME, just like fuel for a car. For a car, it's petrol and diesel. For SME, it's money combined with ideas. So the issue of and there are also reforms that are being undertaken. Even when DBZ was taken over by central bank, because they never met some criteria within the laws, because this was a bank run under the legislation. So if you breach a legislation to protect the financial system, you need to take over the bank. It's not being punitive, because if you don't do that, you collapse the bigger economy. And therefore, the central banks taking over, the DBZ, was a process for reforms. And then for now, there is CEC, and funding is coming there. We have also funding under CDF, but then it requires a more competent structure, because council do not have capacity to give loans. They don't have inherent capacity. And these are issues that are being discussed. That and the president has said very clearly when we met at Mulungushi that these funds for on lending to SMEs from government will be given to institutions that have capacity.
Meaning banks?
It's banks, because banks give projects that are properly evaluated. There's no political connection. So, but then money is being availed. Even in this situation of heavy debt, government is availing money. For example, CEC has receiving over about 400 plus minus million per quarter, per year. But that is still a drop in the ocean. It's a process. So as debt restructuring is being concluded, as the economy is growing, therefore taxes increasing, then the treasury will have now bigger capacity to provide more money. Watch out for this budget. The finances coming for support to support SMEs are on the upswing, but on top of that, reforms are being undertaken to create robust institutions that make access to financing for SMEs easier. And I must agree with you, this is work that is in progress, and government is doing something about it to create robust institutions where SMEs can access financing and also proper evaluation, so that you give money to those with ideas that will repay the money so that others can also borrow. So simplifying, we'll do this simplifying. My sister Eunice, is the government on the right track? Yes. If people, and to put a case to them that what is being done is the correct thing for the future. And therefore, we are very confident that the Zambian people will graciously understand that the reforms being undertaken are the correct reforms, and we will explain and simplify the explanation, like Mr. Zulu has said. Okay? The number of people, over 2 million children who ordinarily should not have been in school, have gone into school because of free education. But can you see immediately the actual benefits? The benefits for educating these children will only show 20 years from now. So this is the time of planting, and the seed that is being planted is the correct one. It might not be perfect, because this is work in progress. And looking at where we are coming from, there were a lot of challenges that are being, addressed sector by sector. So we can only that the future, my sister Eunice, if we stay the course, is brilliant. It's great.
We need to start concluding. We need to go. Do you feel that as a country, we have suffocated ourselves by our own poor policies?
One of the greatest crimes that we as a collective people have committed, especially in leadership over the years, or governments, is incorrect policies that are not informed by evidence. Policies must be informed by evidence. Our policies must be competitive. Our policies must be consistent. We must stay away, Zach, from mob thinking. We must be informed by evidence. And these policies I'm explaining here, whether it's in energy, whether it's in mining, whether it's in agriculture, these are informed by evidence. And you can actually see growth that is coming through, because these are wrote in the actual fundamentals. Now, as they are concluding, is the mining sector growing? Yes or no? Isn't the mining sector growing?
It is.
Yes. We have now reached the production never reached before. During the whole history of our mining, which is over maybe even 100 years, because we started mining during the colonial, that now we are reaching the highest. We are hitting the psychological mark of 1 million tons of copper. And that has a telling effect on the exchange rate, which will benefit everybody. Going into 2030, 2031, we are reaching the 3 million tons. Watch Zambia, how the multiplier will play around. Do you know what has happened now? Because of this activity in this heavy industry, even infrastructure financing is becoming easy. Can I give you some good news? The dual carriageway between Ndora and Lusaka has become possible because even the private sector guys, including the pension funds, are seeing a case to put money there because the traffic is increasing. After this election, Zambia must be talking about a dual carriageway from Kapirimposhi to Nakonde because the numbers are showing. We should be talking about the dual carriageway from Lusaka into Livingstone. We should be talking about the dual carriageway into Kalumbila from the Copper Belt. We should be talking about the dual carriageway into Mongu after we open up the connection of Western Province to Angola, through Calabos, Congo into the border, through Shangombo to Jamba, and also in Northwestern, at Jimbe into Angola, at in Zambezi, okay? Chavuma, Zambezi, into Angola. In the northern circuit, have you seen what is happening now already at the Mwenda Kasomeno PPP project? Because now the financial environment has increased, the macros have improved. Those people who are syndicating that project have been enabled to raise funds. To raise money, they look at the balance sheet of your country, the credibility. You can't raise money if your country is in shambles. Now, because the macroeconomic indicators for Zambia are better, we have better reserves, the kwacha is strengthening, inflation is coming down, growth is coming up. These private investors are now beginning to raise money elsewhere and cheaply because of our rating. The Zambian government also, in times where they need to get money, they are getting money cheaper. Do you know what's happening now in Mwenda Kasomeno Road? The construction of the bridge has started. Very soon, we'll have a bridge that connects the northern circuit, northern province of Muchinga and Luapula, into the market in DRC. Because economic growth is the market. When you see growth here, you see growth around Copper Belt, Central, Southern. It's not because of many things. We are linked to the market. Southern province itself, it grew because of the market in Congo and the Copper Belt. The people, before we had these international markets, people used to buy animals and they were selling on the Copper Belt. They were called Shimaini. A farmer, my father was a Shimain, but he never worked in the mine. How was he a Shimain? He used to buy animals in Monze and sell on the Copper Belt. So because there was a connectivity. Now, the northern circuit now, watch the northern circuit. In terms of agriculture and the other industries, because of the access to this bigger market called the Congo, through the Mwenda Kasomeno project. It started under PF in terms of concept, but made reality now because the macroeconomic situation has improved and therefore financing has become possible. The construction now is on the ground. So you will have now this country beginning to bask in a real growth. Growth is coming. The public-private partnership financing is a wonderful window. This is what MMD wanted to do in 2011, even they never lost the elections. This airport here was supposed to be done under the public-private partnership for expansion. And we were not supposed to spend $400 million loan, which this money should have gone to support SMEs. The road there was supposed to be a road here through Chiawa, Mikango Road here. It was supposed to be a PPP road built by the private sector through Michael Sata Bridge there. That bridge was supposed to be part of that. We stopped that and then we put government money. The road is stopped at Mikango because the government ran out of money. But the private sector has access to money. Because of debt restructuring and the improved macroeconomic situation in the country, better macroeconomic indicators, there now will be a lot of public-private partnerships coming in because even Zambians can also do deals under PPP. It's not for foreigners only. So the Western province and Northwestern, a new road is coming through PPP to join the border points, Kipushi and also West Rumana, okay, to join DRC so that it's easy to go to Korwezi and join these big mining centers in DRC and Zambia. A lot of business across there, even for farmers to export their crops and so on and their food. And then another road is coming through Kasempa to Kawoma, through to Mungu, to the Western Corridor, to Katimamlilo, for Walvis Bay. This will be made possible because of the better economic environment that attracts financing under the public-private partnerships. This country, going up to 2030, 2031, watch this country. Watch this country under the UPND. The golden years are coming because of what is being done now. The foundation, the reforms being undertaken now are for our future, and the future of our economy is secure. This cost of living will begin to stabilize. The lordship will begin to go down because the right decisions and the right actions are being undertaken today for a better tomorrow.
Highvie Hamududu, President of the Party of National Unity and Progress, PUNP, we thank you.
Thank you, Zax. It's always a pleasure to invite me here and to have a discussion. And for the listeners and those who called, we are grateful. And for all you said, we have heard you. For whatever you said here, it's a feedback. And Zambians must continue to talk. And our job is to listen to what they're saying. And I'm wiser now than before I came here. And of these inputs, we'll put them in our discussions to improve delivery to our people.
Once again, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well, to you, our listeners, thank you so much for having